Well, I suppose we can start. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. And buonasera, buongiorno, ciao to all the Italian fellows. Why I'm speaking English, even if I'm not, let's say, a native English speaker, as you know, because today is the first time we are delivering a developer meetup, a ServiceNow developer meetup with, let's say, very special guests coming from across the globe. So that's why. So if something is not clear, just put your question in the Q&A session or in the chat session, whatever it is in Zoom, or just raise your hand. So I suppose you will understand me, but if something is clear, please stop me. Today, we're going to deliver some special content about how to integrate ServiceNow with ERP. As probably you already know, this is a ServiceNow Developer Meetup. It's not a marketing session. It's not a sales demo, okay? It's a safe place where you can ask your question and discover how the technology works. I'm not alone today. You have four us, okay, four panelists. There is me and Eduardo. Me and Eduardo, we are the organizer for the developer meetup for ServiceNow for Italy and now for also the Israel chapter. So if you don't know, the ServiceNow Developer Meetup is a program that is running everywhere. There are 76 cities across the globe that are hosting ServiceNow developer meetups. And this is the first time we are delivering this in English for the Italian people. And this is the first time we are trying to join both the community, the Italian one and the Israeli one. Okay. Usually we used to have this kind of session in real life, but as you can understand, it was almost impossible to do it. So we are going to deliver local session in the future. Right now, this is a virtual session. Just if you don't know me, I'm William. I'm in ServiceNow since almost 10 years. I went through different roles, and now I'm covering, let's say, the sales for all the things related to low code and automation for Italy and Israel. My partner in crime is Eduardo, and then we have two special guests, Kant and Artem, and you will have later on the chance to listen to their introduction. So let me go forward. As I said, this is the first time we're trying to join both the communities. As always, during this kind of session, we're going to anticipate something about the roadmap, or we're going to show you something that is still not available in the products. So what does it mean, this slide? Well, don't take your decision based on what you're going to say today, okay? This is just a way to share knowledge, to generate awareness, and that's it.
Can you summarize for me?
Thank you. See that they don't add this summary generated by Now Assist. Okay, so Now Assist is the generative AI delivered by ServiceNow, and I assume this is accurate. This session is recorded, so later on we're going to share this with the meetups communities. Please, I have an ask for you. Share this community link, the meetup links, and this recording with all your colleagues, with your partners, friends, whatever is interested in building stuff into ServiceNow, and whatever, I mean, any professional that is working on this incredible technology. So probably you are already familiar with ServiceNow because you are here, but let me pitch it again just to be everyone aligned. So ServiceNow is a platform where you can basically build your own application, and at the same time, ServiceNow is building since 20 years application on it. So the Now platform is now the AI platform for business transformation, and you can run on it IT processes, CRM, human resources processes, and so on. And also you can build your own stuff on it. ServiceNow is basically, let's say, the main differentiator compared to other platforms is that is one data model, is one architecture. So everything that you buy from ServiceNow or everything that you build on ServiceNow resides on the same architecture, on the same data model. So it means that all the applications, all the processes, all the workflows that are on ServiceNow are shared between, are sharing the data, okay? So you don't need to integrate them. They are natively integrated. Now, what is interesting is that ServiceNow can connect and integrate with any technology that you have in your organization. So you see at the bottom of this slide some logo of other vendors. This is just, let's say, a sample of what the system you can integrate with. How this is possible? Well, this is part of the topic of today. ServiceNow has its own, let's say, technology to integrate with the rest of the organization. And this is something that we give, let's say, let's say something that is quite common in ServiceNow. Okay, if you work on ServiceNow since years, it's quite common to see ServiceNow integrated with our technologies. Okay, why we integrate is not for the sake of getting data. Okay, ServiceNow is not a data platform. This is not what they intended to use, and it's not neither just an action. It's not just a workflow platform. Okay, we combine them. So the idea is to bring data that are on other products, on other vendors, on other software, on other application, and build workflows on ServiceNow. So this is the idea. And this takes the name of Workflow Data Fabric. Let's say it's the new name on some kind of technology that already exists in ServiceNow. So maybe you're familiar with Integration Hub, Automation Engine. Workflow Data Fabric, let's say it's not only a rebranding of that stuff, but it includes also new technologies, okay? And Workflow Data Fabric basically is the foundation for what will arrive in ServiceNow, what is coming in ServiceNow. So all the things related to intelligent workflows, all the things related to agentic AI. Now, let's go a little bit in the details, because today we're going to focus on a specific, let's say, aspect of Workflow Data Fabric, or in general on the way to connect with the external system. So Workflow Data Fabric consists of 3 parts. So the first part is connecting to other systems to get data, okay? And this is done in several ways in ServiceNow. There are several features. We have plugins, or how we call them, spokes. You can use robots or robotic process automation. You can extract data from documents. You can extract data using Kafka. You can connect with that zero copy architecture to data lakes like Snowflakes, Databricks, and so on. So this is the first part. You can integrate with external system. Then with Workflow Data Fabric, you understand the data and govern the data. So what does it mean? For example, you can apply process mining on it. You can build a knowledge graph of the data that you have in your systems. And you need to do all this kind of stuff. So get data and understand them, to build action on it, to build agents on it, to build workflows on it, to build application on it, okay? This is the scope of Workflow Data Fabric. If we want to go a little bit in the details of the features that are included in the Workflow Data Fabric, as you can see, some of these names probably you're already familiar with. So you have Integration Hub, App Engine, Document Intelligence, RPA, and so on. The focus of today, as you can see, is what is called ERP Canvas. So as the name suggests, today we're going to show you how it's easy to integrate ServiceNow with an ERP, especially with, let's say, SAP, the one of the most common used ERP in the world, okay? Why you should do that? Well, this is the vision of our CEO. ERP usually are legacy system, okay? If you are familiar with your organization or with your customers, well, ERP are very famous because they are not so flexible in building, innovation, even if they continue to update themselves. And so the bold statement of our CEO is, do you want to spend your time just upgrading a legacy ERP, or you want to bring technology that can change the way you work and deliver immediate value on the ERP systems? And this vision is something that also McKinsey, let's say, designed, I suppose, more than 1 year ago. I remember this is a part of a document produced by McKinsey, if I remember well. It's probably 1 year and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly. It was end of 2023, beginning 24. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Edo. So what's the point of this content from McKinsey? Well, usually you have an architecture that is your ERP system, so let's say your SAP, and other application. Okay, usually you have these 2 words, and you have your ERP that is customized. So you have customization inside the ERP. This is the most common approach that we see in every organization. And then, so how you can maintain your ERP and migrate them and keep them consistent in order to keep them always updated and avoid disruption while you are updating. Because when you're an ERP that is full of customizations, migrating them, upgrading them, it can take months, years, and it costs a lot of money. Okay, so what McKinsey is suggesting? Well, first of all, you have to define something in the middle between your ERP systems and your, let's say, other application. Okay, you have to separate, so you don't need to connect them directly. Then you can migrate your customization, so the customization you have in your ERP, to another platform, let's say a more modern platform, a digital platform. Like, for example, in the case of SAP, we're talking about SAP BTP, or platforms like ServiceNow. And this way, you're cleaning your ERP. So you're removing customization for your ERP system. And then you can upgrade your ERP. At the time, let's say the ERP core will be cleaned, so it's easier to upgrade it. So following this approach and this vision, the idea is that, and leveraging the fact that ServiceNow can easily connect with the external system, and is a workflow platform, you can take the value of ServiceNow and the ERP system or SCM systems like, I don't know, Workday, Oracle, and SAP, and you use these tools, and these tools are remaining in the organization. Okay, ServiceNow is not an ERP system; it's not going to replace ERP systems. Okay, the idea is that you take the good of both the categories. In the case of SAP or other ERP system, these are systems designed for control. They keep track. Yes, they keep track of financial and production and material data and information, and usually core business stuff are running on ERP system, so they are there because they are important. And then you have ServiceNow. ServiceNow is designed for action. It's more flexible. It can leverage generative AI easily. So when you combine these two software categories, you get a result that is, let's say, the value that you get is much higher than just summing two products. I see that there is a question, a raised hand from the audience. I don't know if you can ask some question in the chat. If you have access to the Q&A, please ask your question there, okay?
Yeah, exactly, William. Maybe just a note,
Yeah,
shalom,
sure.
also to the Israeli community. You can ask a question during the presentation in the chat directly, but at the end of the meeting, we will let you open the Microsoft. We will have a networking session. We can chat each other. So while we do the presentation, we can take questions, but for the sake of time, just in offline mode, we can say. At the end, we can chat.
Yeah, and I'm dying till now, so I will remain here. Edo, account is up to you. I will monitor the chat, the question. So if something is not clear, just ask. As I said at the beginning, this is a safe place. Okay, yeah. Right now we're not selling anything. Okay, we just want to share how it works, how the technology works. So I hope you can enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I think William, you are able to see.
Yes, we can.
Okay, amazing. So, hi everyone. Again, from myself, Edoardo Messinese. I'm Senior Advisory Solution Consultant for Low Code and Hyper Automation Solution that we package into the name of Creator. For this session, I'm very pleased to introduce you Kant, which is our outbound product manager for the solution we are going to present to you today. So, Kant, if you want to say something.
Sure. Thanks very much, William and Eduardo, for inviting me to this call. And hello, everyone. My name is Kant Basuraju. I'm based out of East Coast in the United States. I'm from the product. I look after the outbound product management. I lead the ERP modernization offering. Nice to meet you all and looking forward to an interactive session with you.
Amazing. So let's dive into the content. Just let me move the screen a little bit. Okay, so I can also see if there are any comments. Okay, so let's give a little bit of the overview. Let's do one click further of what William said. So why it's called App Engine for ERP? Because integrating with ERP system is not just the objective. The objective is to create application, create workflows with ERP data and other ERP data, and it fits into our vision of empowering everyone to build and automate workflows. So it means that this solution is also designed for low-code people. It means that sometimes you don't need coding, so it's a no-code. Sometimes you need or you want to add pro-code features. And to do, let's say, a scope, why we are not, let's say, replacing ERP. This is not our objective. We want to enhance, as William said. And the target, it's really these 3 points. So we want to provide a modern ERP processes in terms of how you scale, how you increase the visibility of those data, how you ease the changes that you have to do while the process changes. We want also to allow non-SAP business user to interact with SAP data occasionally, maybe. Sometimes you need to approve a request or an order or submit an entry sheet, something like that. But SAP is not your day-to-day environment, so we provide an enhanced experience for those people. And also we can replace and analyze the customization. So before starting, let's say, a huge migration project, maybe from an SAP ECC to S/4HANA, you want to know what you have done in the past 20 years, okay? And ServiceNow can help also with this solution called ERP Customization Mining, and we'll give some brief on that. So where we fit? We fit into the end-to-end business process of traditional ERPs, so procure to pay, lead to cash, whatever end-to-end business process you can imagine for ERP. It means that the out-of-the-box of these processes maybe are good for part of them, but there might be some gaps in the IT solution. There might be some orchestration with external system. There might be some data that many departments or external company needs to fit into the process as well. So what we provide as a solution with ServiceNow is a time to market solution, because if you extend for this scenario with traditional ABAP or even BTP and Fiori, the time to solution and the ERP expertise required is much higher than the ServiceNow approach with App Engine for ERP. It means that you can benefit this solution to have less ERP people involved into digitizing these processes, because you don't need to create each time a service from the ERP system to expose data. It's faster to be deployed because you connect once and you reuse multiple times. And this means it's faster time to value, okay? So what's inside the umbrella of the App Engine for ERP? You have the connection with the ERP system. It means that you can, and you will see in the demo that Artem will do later, you connect once with your ERP system, and we are able to scan your ERP, whether it's tables, whether it is a web service, which is in SAP language or RFC or BAPI, just connecting once. And then we provide you accelerator and data models to extract those data in real time or in near real time with different solutions. And you can use those data into the low-code tools. It means that you can create report on those tables and data. You can use a flow action in a flow designer automation and more. Then we will deliver, and Kant will give you some highlights on this, some pre-built accelerator. It means that for the common gaps that we see in the end-to-end ERP process, we provide you solution to interact with materials, with vendor, with customer data, and so on. So both master data and transactional data. And then we have the customization mining, which is a solution that analyze the ERP system, extract the customization, whether they are custom tables or programs, and gives you visibility to dialogue with the SAP team. It gives you also a score on the candidates that are suitable for migration to a low-code platform. Okay, so it's a collaboration tool with the ERP team to say, okay, these are the customization, these are the top candidates that ServiceNow thinks we have a good solution, we have good data into the platform that you can remove from the ERP system, you can clean the core, and you can have a local platform to handle in the future. So, William, I don't see the chat, so just in case, William and Artem and Kant, just stop me.
Yeah, sure.
If there are questions and so on. So many times since it's a developer meetup, we want to speak to you in the same language. So many times we receive the question from the customer when we present the solution. But I already everything in SAP. I already the BTP for pro coding extension. Why I need the ServiceNow? Okay. So this slide is really to answer this question. So the SAP side and the extension, and we can, SAP is always using a side-by-side extension, is perfect when you go down to the road of the requirement. So when you need to extend the work items or tasks that are reside inside an SAP process, okay? It doesn't have so much integration with other system. It fulfill the same user that start the transaction and ends the transaction. So there is no a real process or collaboration or orchestration to be done. When you increase the complexity, so when you go from task to process or sub-processes, ServiceNow is the right platform to orchestrate the work across departments, across companies, maybe internal and external parties, and so on. So giving also you the possibility to add governance and to add low-code guardrails on top of the SAP functions, but also on top of other applications like William show you the connect functionality of Workflow Data Fabric. It means that you might need to use an RPA, you might need to use a document intelligence solution to fulfill your end-to-end process requirement. Okay. So this is really a new tool set that you have in the company to say, okay, it's a work item extension. I will go with the SAP extension because it resonates from an architecture standpoint, or it's a business process orchestration and I need ServiceNow to orchestrate this for me. Kant, do you want to give some more details on this, some more example?
Yep. Sure. Now, before we dive deeper into more details about our product, so just to give you a quick example of how this works, using a plant maintenance process as an example. So let's say the use case to bring some manufacturing plant related data into ServiceNow for some activity. It could be as simple as, creating a maintenance request for a third party. You have some machinery that needs periodic maintenance, or you have some other information that you want to bring into ServiceNow for a workflow. So the way it works, think of it like ERP Canvas. Think of it like a pipeline. Think of it like a pipeline that goes between ServiceNow and SAP back and forth. It's bi-directional. So the first layer within that pipeline is something called as ERP models. So what we mean by ERP models is like Edo was explaining earlier. ERP Canvas simplifies the SAP data structures into simple, understandable, simple English, plain, simple language, converting that from SAP specific terminology into very specific general terminology. So we ship a bunch of data models. So in Yokohama we have about, I think, about 30, and in May release we are shipping more. So that's like the first layer. So that reads the data, updates the data to SAP. Think also, sometimes we call it as the low code way of connecting with SAP, low code way of integrating with SAP, or even zero copy way of integrating with SAP. So these models are the first layer within that Canvas pipeline. And then the second layer, which is called as ERP process extensions. We are releasing a bunch of process extensions. I'll show that in the roadmap a few slides later. But we have something called as process extensions. Think of them as your subflows. So these subflows are built for a specific purpose. Like for example, in this example, getting new plant maintenance related tasks from SAP. right? That reads into SAP tables or one way or the other connects with SAP using RFCs or BAPIs or OData, whatever that is. And then reading that information from SAP into ServiceNow, but it has all the pre-built parameters that are needed. So if you have to get plant maintenance related information, you need to pass the plant code. You need to probably maybe also pass the, I don't know, maybe the shop floor details, things like that. So all of them are already pre-configured into this process extension. And the same process extensions concept also works for writing back to SAP. So that means you want to create a transaction or you want to update something in SAP, you can use the process extensions that are pre-built that do specific activity. You can build your own process extensions. You can build your own ERP models, all of that within Canvas. Pretty flexible, easy to understand. And we also have a repository of all the BAPIs that SAP has with pre-filtered list of fields that SAP tables have, the parameters that BAPIs need, so on and so forth. And now, once the data is going through these two filters, like ERP Canvas is a pipeline, that's the first filter is the ERP model. Next filter is the process extension. And then finally, you can consume that as part of your workflow. In general, you're all experts in ServiceNow development, so you can imagine how that would work. And finally, you can feed that into, say, for example, an employee center where I am a shop floor maintenance guy. I open up my employee center and I see all the tasks that are assigned to me, and then I take action, and then SAP, boom, right back to SAP and gets updated. So this is catering to specific gaps in your end-to-end business process, like the chevrons that you see there, 1 2 3 4 5. Think of that like an end-to-end business process, and there are certain gaps within the business process that cannot be catered by any solution. You have to build some custom application, custom workflow. So that's where all of this comes into picture. I'll stop there. Eduardo,
Yeah,
back to you.
thanks a lot, Kant, for this example. Really, we are getting to the ground more and more. So what we are doing this for workflows and business processes, but what's coming in the market? Okay, William scratched a little bit the surface before talking about acting on data, and he talked about AI agent a little bit. So putting all these capabilities into ServiceNow with the ERP data will make AI agent even more powerful, okay? Because they will able to act on ERP business processes like a fulfiller of ServiceNow, but autonomous, okay? It means that they can complete tasks. For example, imagine a reconciliation between journal entries, okay? Or approving invoices because it's a repetitive task, and maybe you have company policies, or maybe routing the right approval to the right person based on the signature power that this person has. Okay, so you have to imagine this kind of automation. So the automation that we were doing before, let's say the agentic AI revolution, was deterministic. It means that you need to configure all the possible if then else that you have in mind, and always you forgot something. So you analyze your process, you adapt, and maybe the organizational change, and you need to run after the process. Okay, you don't anticipate, you don't spend time to analyze the process, you spend time in maintenance. Okay. The way ServiceNow thinks the future with agentic AI, and especially with complex ERP process across departments and systems, is to apply AI agents on ERP business processes. Okay, so let's do let's say a layer of all these capabilities applied to the ERP. The agentic workflow is the why. So you give the goal, you give the objective, let's say identify the approver for this order. Okay, this can be a use case. Then you leverage the orchestrator of ServiceNow that knows the AI agent of the platform and will connect this use case to the right agent. It may be an IT agent, an HR agent, or an ERP agent. Okay, it means that these are the professionals that are able to act on the platform using the tools. So the tools are the what? Are all the capabilities that you develop all these years in the past, like skills, workflows, whether it's script, whether it's subflows, actions, spokes integration, information on external database, and so on. So the AI agent can use the power of the workflow platform that you built along the years and connect this to the data of the ERP to make the process flow going easily and faster than ever. Okay, but also not just faster, but also adapt to the context. And I will show you a video in a minute that will make you understand what I mean on a specific ERP process. Okay. So all these capabilities are available also with an App Engine licensing that gives you the possibility to configure AI agents in the studio. And of course, this agent can leverage records and flows that are put at disposal from App Engine ERP. Okay. What I'm going to show you, it's a solution that our finance department built on top of ERP data. Okay, it's a very simple use case, but very frequent because it's an account receivable case management that needs to be automated. Imagine that we have thousands of customers across the globe that we manage everything in a single instance in ServiceNow internally. Okay. And the customer reach us to ask for a copy of invoice. Okay, for example, let's use this example. We apply an AI agent on top of ERP data. It means that we ask the orchestrator to identify which is the correct use case to trigger. And in this scenario that I'm going to show you in this 4 minutes video, it will be an agent that will translate the message because it can be in Hebrew, it can be in English, it can be in any language the customer talks to. And then we have an agent that categorizes, because imagine if you receive a case that you don't know because it's not your language, you don't even know how to categorize. So we have an agent to do it. And then we have the assignment, okay, to identify the right people, maybe using a task assignment framework or whatever framework the agent that we want to tie to. And then we have an SAP agent that is able to launch a transaction, launch an action. Maybe it's an action that was configured through the ERP canvas. And finally, we get the invoice details sent to the customer. Okay, so pretty clear use case. We have a website here that shows some of the, I got logged out. So let's log in. In the meantime, William, do we have some more questions?
Nope. I don't know, maybe if you want to clarify something about SAP Edo, because about what is SAP BTP.
Okay. Also, we have
Because
Arthur,
because maybe it's something that ServiceNow developer doesn't know.
Yeah, BTP is basically the platform of SAP to create extension, to create customization, also to consume. They call it Fiori apps, so to consume a modern experience. Okay, developed by SAP, forms, list, reports, or something like that. So very similar, we can say, to the workspaces. But the problem of the BTP, or the problem, let's say the power of BTP is to work on ERP data. So it has adapters, it has all the tools that you need to run. The difference with compared to the ServiceNow platform is that the BTP is more a PaaS solution. Okay, you need to instantiate services, capabilities, database, runtime, etc., in order to build an application. For example, build a customer application. And you need to have specific SAP knowledge, okay? It's not like a ServiceNow web development stack, like JavaScript, HTML, CSS, something like that. In ServiceNow, you pay for a license, let's say fulfiller or requester, and requester you don't even pay. And it's a SaaS model, so you don't pay for the runtime, you pay for the value that you extract. You don't need to do a sizing, you don't need to do, let's say, instantiate a server or something like that. So you just need to activate, for example, a plugin of App Engine, and then you have the full tool set to develop it. So it's a different approach in developing. Based on the use case, you will choose one or the other. Okay, so this is the use case. Just to give you an idea of this portal, it was developed with App Engine, of course. Let's say it's a custom portal. Here we are able to showcase many AI agent. In this scenario that I presented to you, it's our finance department that created these 4 agents, wrapped up into a single use case. Okay, so language translator, case, categorization, assignment, and also resolution. But let's roll the video.
Welcome to the demo.
And William, just confirm that you are hearing the audio well.
Of
Yes, we
AI
can.
agent for the
We can,
AR
yes.
case management application. In this demo, we will see how we can utilize the AI agents to fulfill the AR case request. This demo will illustrate how an AI agent can intelligently manage a case request. It begins with translating the request to help the fulfiller better understand and analyze it. The system will then categorize the case into its appropriate domain, identify the suitable assignee, and finally assist in resolving the case efficiently. Let's start with the first demo. In this demo, we will observe a case request without an assigned individual, lacking a category, and with a description in Hebrew, making it challenging for the fulfiller to comprehend. Let's run the AI agent.
So I just stopped here because I choose this use case because we have Hebrew in the ticket, and I'm sure our Israeli colleagues will understand the request. But imagine that our finance department is centralized, and you can write to them in your language, and then the solution will translate, and the AI agent will jump in. So I thought this video was really nice to join the community between Italy and Israel.
Good point. Good point.
Agent for this case record and observe the results. Let's switch to Agentic AI testing playground. First, we will select the desired use case and then provide the input prompt along with the corresponding case number. This will initiate the Agentic AI flow, and the AI will generate a blueprint outlining the steps to fulfill the case. The orchestrator has successfully identified the AI agents necessary to fulfill the case requirements. We can observe the AI translation agents in action, facilitating the translation of the case. Upon successful translation, the system will provide the case details and acknowledge the user with the translated text. As we can see, the communicator agent is now identifying and establishing communication with the categorization agent, which is next in line. The categorization agent will now analyze the case details to identify the appropriate category domain and update the case accordingly. The communicator has now identified the case assignment agent, which will find the appropriate fulfiller user and assign the case accordingly. The communicator agent has triggered again to verify if the final step in the process is to identify the case type and determine the resolution. In this instance, it has identified an AR case related to bank details. This will assist in identifying the resolution and sending the bank details to the customer. Let's navigate to the case record and review the results. We can notice bank details are attached to the record, and the same has been shared with customer. Case has now been marked as close complete. The assigned to and category fields have been successfully updated with their respective values. The AI agent successfully translated the text from Hebrew to English. Let's have a quick glance on how AI agent think and works. The orchestrator successfully identified the agents needed to resolve the case. Initially, the AR case translation agent was executed, followed by the AR categorization agent to determine the category. Subsequently, the AR case assignment agent was deployed. Finally, the Get Bank Details agent was invoked as it matched the case requirements. We will now review how the orchestrator determined the appropriate resolution agent. Notably, it identified the request as a bank detail request and successfully executed the Bank Entity Details AI agent. Conversely, It recognized that the request did not fall under invoice request, and thus, while it executed the invoice details agent, no related operations were performed. Let us proceed to another demo.
So I will stop here because the second demo is pretty similar to the first one. And I want to wrap up what you saw. So an AI agent, or let's say a pool of AI agent, we're able to take from an email, we can say that open a record, in this case, a customer record, like a case, and without any other information, just starting from the description, they started a full process end-to-end from new to close complete, taking care of the translation, taking care of the categorization, assignment, and also contacting SAP to extract those invoices and attach to the ticket and send back to the customer. Okay, so no human in the loop. Imagine how this can be done in traditional technology, or let's say versus one automation. You need to define all the possible routes, maybe with playbooks, maybe with alerts and triggers and so on. And then each time you need to maybe jump in because the process is blocked because you have a variation or you have something that you need to verify or validate. In this case, was fully autonomous. For sure, at the beginning, the suggestion is to put the AI agent supervised and maybe build on top a process mining to monitor the end-to-end workflows. Even if the process is outside ServiceNow, you can ingest external data to monitor the end-to-end with process mining. And if you remember, the 3 pillars of Workflow Data Fabric is the central one, is the understand piece of Workflow Data Fabric. So I think this was a very nice use case to show you how you can combine the flexibility of having a data model of SAP, actions available to AI agent.
Yeah, Edo, there is a question about the agents that you showed in the video. And the question is, are these agents, let's say, something that you have to create, configure, or these are, let's say, ready to use agents?
Very good question. We will take this question in the roadmap session in, let's say, 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so, because we have news also on ERP agents. Okay, I don't want to spoiler this.
Okay.
Kant will talk about that. In this case specifically, this is a custom agent. Okay, so with no code, you describe, you give the instruction, you give the roles to the AI agent, you assign the tools. And in this case, this tool is just an action that is able to take input, let's say invoice number, go to SAP and extract the invoice number. Okay, so easy as that. Okay, so let's proceed. This is the final view of having everything in one single platform. Okay. Now Artem will guide us to the demo in how to create the models, how to create a process extension, and so on. So making those data of ERP system easily available in the platform. Then you have subflows that reuse let's say an action that is pre-built and is flexible. Okay, you don't need to create each action for each model, which is what you do today. Today, imagine you need to do invoice get or invoice update. These are different actions, okay? And you can imagine how the maintenance of this action in the future can be, okay? When all these actions are exploding in the system. But it means that with a single action, you are able to use multiple models, whether it is a read action, an update, or delete. And imagine to package all of these capabilities, okay, models and flows, into the agentic AI world, okay, like the video that we show you today. Okay, so agents that are able to use the flows and the actions and the data to perform ERP workflows. And that's the power of having everything into a single solution. So this was the overview, powered with AI, because we cannot leave AI in every conversation. We must rethink processes with AI first in mind. I remember maybe 10 years back or 15 years back when we had the smartphone, there was a motion of creating mobile-first workflows. William, for sure you remember all this motion in mobile first. Now we are in the era of AI first. Okay.
Yeah.
So even with this complex solution, we must think of AI first approach. So with this third chapter, Artem will be our master, and I ask Artem to unmute and present himself to the audience.
Hi, everyone. Artem Zuchkov here, based in Dallas, Texas, here in the United States, specializing in ERP modernization, come from an SAP background, particularly within BTP when it comes to extensions and integrations, and yeah, specialize in, again, ERP Canvas and all things ERP modernization on the ServiceNow platform today.
Thanks a lot, Artem. So if you heard well, bring your question, even your hard question. Me and Artem will be able to reply to you because we have both SAP background. So it's easier when you have both platforms in mind. So just a couple of slides, and then I will leave the room for Artem. Today in the demo, Artem will leverage the ERP Canvas solution. Okay, it's this no-code solution to be able to connect to the ERP system, to manage your models, to do the joins between tables, to do the joins or to leverage SAP data. In today's exercise, he will use OData technology. So imagine an SAP S/4HANA system that we can connect via OData services. And then this solution is able to map those fields into human readable names and not in German acronyms that usually SAP does. Before that, in Now Create, and we have the asset link in the material that we will share you, there is a very nice presentation that show you the different integration approach that we recommend as ServiceNow. So you have the traditional ERP Canvas plus Integration Hub approach. It means that you configure ERP models with ERP Canvas to connect to SAP, maybe more than one, maybe in different technologies. But also remember that you have Integration Hub spokes. Okay, so when if an Integration Hub spoke is already available, it doesn't make any sense, and you need it only for workflows automation. It doesn't make any sense to recreate in ERP Canvas. So use whatever you use and reuse it because we are maintaining the Integration Hub spokes. Instead, if you need, let's say, the data layer for an app engine visualization, then ERP Canvas is the right tool to do it. Another approach is to pass through a third-party cloud solution like an iPaaS, like, for example, even a BTP can be like that. Or we can use a mid server, our mid server or third-party ServiceNow connector to connect to an on-prem and then have a dialogue with SAP ECC. And the third approach, and really this depends by the customer architecture, okay, but shows you the flexibility of the solution. We can integrate via with a gateway or SAP API or SAP PI, all the different layers so that you can imagine before reaching SAP, whether it is SEC or S/4HANA, okay? And you still are able to use ERP Canvas. You're still able to do to leverage the spokes with Integration Hub, okay? There is a lot more of this slide on Now Create, and we will share the slide and the link afterwards. So Artem, the room is yours.
Awesome. So we're going to be going in behind the scenes, live in the system of something that I think will be really interesting to developers, where we're going to go in and actually create a model from a live sandbox system. It's not going to be a live SAP system for legal reasons, but essentially the functionality and the user experience is the same since we're going to be using OData. We'll go in and create that model, use it as a remote table, but I will also show you how that could be used for ETL or extraction tables. So again, once you have that table on the platform, you can use it for extending package workflows, creating your own applications, using it for analytics, or any number of use cases, right? Because going back to that single platform, single architecture, value of ServiceNow. Then once we have that table, we're going to show you how you can use that to rapidly create an application, use it in a dropdown, or even have analytics and updates back to the SAP system. All right, so some of the steps like adding the ERP system, I've already pre-configured, but what's exciting about this is going to be a hands-on lab that customers and partners will be able to do with the proctoring of ServiceNow. So you're actually one of the first people not internal to ServiceNow to even see what some of the steps look like. So in the future, you'll be able to do some of these steps yourself. So,
yeah, that's the beauty of being part of the community. Yeah, absolutely. We want to give you the preview every time. Thanks, Artem, for bringing this.
cool. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump straight into the platform. All right. So we're going to share.
In the meantime, I will have some ServiceNow drink. It's just water because usually in the meetups we drink.
Awesome. All right. So first things first, I'm going to jump into ERP Canvas. I'm going to give you a very quick tour of what ERP Canvas looks like. It really breaks down to a few major components, right? We have the models, which encapsulate, hey, it's what data do we want from SAP to get, to update, to create. We have a number of out-of-the-box models that are already created, leveraging multiple SAP tables. So again, you don't have to start from scratch. You can extend these. So one thing that we see also common with SAP is the customizations. So if you wanted to be able to add fields to a model, you can very easily do that and use those models for remote tables. So think remote tables as essentially zero copy, where we're not ETLing all the data over, we're just referencing it. Also, we give you extraction tables. Some of these come out of the box using the out-of-the-box models, but again, you can create your own. And then the thing with ETL is, right, it's not live, so you can have your scheduled extractions on whatever cadence you want. So you can do this every hour, once a day, weekly, and then you can monitor what those extractions and remote lookups are doing, okay? And then here, I've already configured one system, but the value of ERP Canvas is if you have multiple ERP systems in your environment, which many of my customers do, you can get those configured here and use those models across these different systems. So when you're doing application development, this integration layer has been essentially abstracted, so you can reuse these models, reuse these remote tables and extraction tables in any of your applications without having to reconfigure everything, each application one at a time. The integration layer has been abstracted.
Yeah, Artem, I have a question for you because it's the first time I'm thinking about this. So coming back to the previous screen, you have like an ERP system. So now you have one ERP system connected to this ServiceNow instance, okay? So
Yeah.
I was wondering, this could be like, I suppose, SAP, like an SAP system.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that you can have more than one. So you can
Yes.
have, okay, I'm wondering, you could have also SAP and Oracle systems connected at the same time? I mean, something that could work?
Yeah, definitely. So now that we support OData within ERP Canvas, if you have OData endpoints on your Oracle
Okay.
system, you can definitely add those systems here. In the future, going further down the roadmap, maybe into 2026, we'll have more pre-built content around Oracle, but we're always
Okay.
looking to partner with customers around Oracle or other ERPs. But right now, it's a lot of SAP content for sure.
Very good. Thanks.
Yeah, and let me just jump in, Artem, because in just 6 buttons, you show a lot of value already, okay? Even without going deeper, because imagine the traditional connection, okay? You don't have a monitoring, for example, because our monitoring also, when you have issues and errors, gives you the knowledge base to try to resolve this issue. So there is also, let's say, troubleshooting in the platform itself. You have an heartbeat, so you know that your system is alive. And imagine if the heartbeat is it's going red, okay, you can kick off an incident, you can kick off any process because it's a single platform, okay? So all these are capabilities that are able to control the integration between the two platforms, which if you do a point-to-point, if you do a scripted web service, if you do something very basic, very lower in the chain, okay, in the stack ISOSI, let's call it this way, if you go very basic, you don't have such monitoring, or you need to build such monitoring, okay? So imagine how much value you have inside this.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's all low code, no code. And that's exactly what we're going to see. I'm going to show you from the ground up how we can create a model. In this model, we're going to do it for invoices or invoice orders. So let's see. And so we'll create our invoice model. This can be pretty arbitrary, but maybe do CO, and we specify our ERP system. So in this case, we have our OData sandbox that's been configured, and we'll call this our invoice model. Okay. And now we'll get to where a lot of the magic happens, and it's where we manage the model, and we can define the different operations for the model. For example, I'm going to do a read, because again, we can use that read for the remote tables, for the extraction tables, or within a flow. But again, if you wanted to do updates and creates through flows or through glide scripts, you can also use these operations that are associated to a model. So I'm going to do a quick read, and then we're going to configure what exactly we want to read from that SAP system. And so see here, we have a number of different entity types, from BAPIs, RFCs, to reading directly tables. And again, if you have information in multiple tables that an interface doesn't currently exist, no problem. We can actually join multiple tables, specify what inputs and outputs we want from those tables, and we have that model. In the case of OData, we're going to go ahead.
Just let me stop in the choice list before, because it's really important, this choice list. We are able to talk in the native SAP language. Okay, it means that your SAP developer doesn't need to create a custom web service for ServiceNow. We are able to reuse your standard services or your standard OData, or even your custom OData and services that are existing now in SAP from ServiceNow. It's like creating a web service of SAP from ServiceNow. Okay, this is the mindset that you have here in this simple dropdown.
Yeah.
So just for me, guys, because I don't have an SAP background. Okay, so let's say usually when we want to connect with an external system, we leverage APIs and web services. Okay, so we call some service, and an external system that exposes that service answers with some data. And every time we need to collect the data or to write data, we need to call that service. The same thing happens with SAP. So in this case, we're telling, instead of, I'm trying to repeat to see if I understood. So instead of, let's say, ask to SAP people, build a web service that I can consume, because, okay, since there are already several web service ready to be consumed, we can, from ServiceNow, invoke them and configure how to consume it, and what kind of web service you want to call directly from here without coding, basically.
Absolutely.
If I understood. Okay.
And if you are good enough, you are talking about the service architecture, but I've seen many times file transfer between systems. Okay, so
Yeah,
imagine the security, imagine the ownership and the mastership of the data. So usually some SAP integration, let's say professional, just send you the CSV into a server, and then ServiceNow read it and ingest it. So it's and I see Artem is laughing because
but let's say this happens
times.
because but let's say historically this happens because put hands on SAP is not so easy. Okay, because you have critical data, business data, and usually customers, or let's say organizations, they don't want to touch SAP because it takes money, it takes time, and the risk, there is a high risk of disruption of let's say breaking something. That's why they are delivering you CSV, because okay, the data are there, take it. In this case, it's a totally different approach, more robust.
Secure.
And it doesn't, yeah, more secure. It doesn't introduce disruption.
Precisely. And so since this was a sandbox system, we have just one catalog, but with ERP Canvas, once you have configured the ERP system, it will actually go in and parse and search all the different catalogs that you have available on the SAP system, right? And not only will you have the catalogs, within each catalog, you'll then be able to choose which endpoint you want to use. So in this case, I want to get all the invoices. All right, if I wanted to get a single invoice, I could as well, but we're going to use an array endpoint for this scenario. We'll
And
add
there is a
that.
prerequisite, Artem, which is the AI search, because
Yes.
we index those lists, whether it is a table, a service, and also we reuse the platform capability of AI search. Okay, so you don't have
Exactly. So you don't have to scroll through a list of 10,000. You can simply type in, like I did, like invoice or which catalog you're looking for. An AI search will help identify those and bring those to the top. Exactly. All right. And then we go to inputs. I'm not going to do any inputs because I do want all the invoices. But if you wanted to filter those invoices, if there were mandatory inputs related to that OData service, which there definitely would be if we were doing an update, right? We need to have an invoice ID number, right? That would be a mandatory input that we'd specify, right? Or if we wanted to have optional inputs to further filter, again, we can add those as well. But we're going to jump to just the outputs. What information do we want in our model, right? And you're going to have all the fields that are available within this OData endpoint. But I'm just going to simply add a few, like order ID, right? I want the customer name.
It reminds me to the action designer, where you have input, operation, and outputs. It's really a seamless and similar developer experience that we are all, let's say, used to. But you are dealing with a web service of SAP.
Exactly. And this user experience will be consistent regardless of the entity that you choose or what kind of operation. If you're doing a read, you're doing an update, a create, you get that same kind of action builder experience. So let's see, what else do we have? Country. Let's add a couple more. And then we're going to jump to using this into a remote table. So here will be unit price. And if you notice, we have all these other fields like dates, required date, ship date. I'm going to do discount, one more, and then extended price, which should be like our total price. If I can spell. There we go. So I'm going to save this. All right, now that they're saved, we have that model created, right? Our invoice model. Okay, and we have the operation of a read. If we wanted to go in and create other updates and creates, similar experience. But now we're going to jump to remote tables. Okay, again, we pre-deliver a number of remote tables, but here for the lab, I have a remote table ready to be used. So I'm going to click into the remote table and we're going to unlock it. And I want it to use the model that we just created, the invoice model. Okay, I'm also going to specify our ERP system, right? And we're going to go ahead and save. And
so
then I
just understand what you have done. You created the model, which is a logical representation of the data, and now you are assigning a physical representation of the data, right?
Yes, a zero copy representation for a remote table. It would be a similar exercise for extraction tables, where we would actually map the values from the model to the table that exists and is persisted on the ServiceNow platform. But for remote tables, it's even simpler, where we don't have to do a mapping exercise. All we have to do is specify what fields from the model that we just defined that we want. So I'll just go ahead and select all of them.
And this is great because it gives you the flexibility to assign the same model or different models to a virtual table in ServiceNow. It's the same technology that we have since years. It's the remote table with all the capabilities and also limitation. But I know that in the roadmap, the remote table, let's say performance, okay, will be enhanced thanks also to this need and solution of ERP Canvas. But if you need more persistence or if you need data that are not fresh, you can use the extraction table to move and control the update from ServiceNow and SAP.
Exactly. And you can have the remote table be scheduled or have more advanced queries assigned to it. But we're keeping things simple. And now that I have configured the model to this remote table, I can manage, or let's take a look at it here. All right, and look at that. We now have the information viewable in a remote table, and we can use this downstream as we'll see in the later parts. But again, say I wanted to configure this table, I can just do this really quick. I'll just show you a couple of examples on how we can then further configure this to make this the way we want. So if I wanted to go and make the names a little different, or I wanted to rename, for example, extended price to total price, or I wanted to, for example, change the type, for example, unit price to a currency. Cool. And I'm just doing a subset of the steps that are in the lab, but just want to show you that, again, yes, with remote tables, very simple, but you still have all the platform capabilities to configure this as needed. So with order ID, I want this to display true, right? We can save this, maybe do one more for currency, something like that. We'll save. And now I want my table to display a certain way as well. So I can go and do my layout list. Right, and I want this to be displayed a different way. So maybe we'll do order ID at the top, and we'll do our customer name, country, product name. And again, this is all platform level stuff. I just want to show you that now that we have that data on the platform, all the things that you're used to doing are also possible. So now that we've done that, we'll save, make sure we save, and let's check out our list one more time, right? And now we've seen that the labels have changed. We're now seeing the currencies, and it's in the order that we just specified, right?
You're already creating the application at the end of the day. So it's a list that you can post in any form as a related list or in a workspace or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so now we're gonna change hats. We were, say, like the integration developer or integration specialist, but now what if we wanted to be a developer or a citizen developer, power user who wants to go in and create an application for, let's say, invoice change requests using the invoice data, or to be able to make decisions on what kind of discounts should we approve or request based on what we have, and then holistically see analytics over that process. So again, we're not going to do every single step, but I am going to show you a couple of the really simple and intuitive ways we use the ERP data in a low-code, no-code fashion for an application, right? So for example, I can go to a record producer, right? And in that record producer, we can have a set of questions asking, what kind of change do we want to a specific invoice? So I can insert a new question. And now that it's in table format, I can use this as a choice, right? And this will be a drop down values from a table. We'll map it to specific fields. So maybe this will be our order number. Let's see, like order. And say, which invoice order do you want to request change to? Okay. Invoice number. Okay. We can make it mandatory. Again, all low code. And there's a number of different ways you can create record producers, more traditional way. I'm just showing you how simple it is in App Engine. In fact, you could even do this with generative AI through Now Assist. But let's jump to choices and additional details. And we want to choose our table, lab invoice. All right, so this is the remote table that we had just created. And I can do that as a drop down. All right, and I can choose any one of the fields to then drop down. So we did order ID or product names. We can insert that question. If we want to filter this by any kind of way, we can as well. So we can insert that question. And let's say if we previewed, right, we have the multiple preview options. And again, if you want to do this in a portal, if you want this in a mobile experience or a virtual agent, or as Kant will talk about, and Eduardo actually talked about, we have all the different drop-down capabilities and data there for even agentic AI. So again, I just very rapidly chose the table, specified one of the fields, and it's available in a drop-down. Right? We literally did that, and I think less than like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can only imagine how long this takes, or actually I know how long this takes to do in SAP, and it's very complicated. Probably would have taken 3 personas just to do this in a week, just to get this POC moving.
Yeah, I mean, if you are forced to give a number, a week is a reasonable number based on your past experience prior ServiceNow.
Yep. All right, and then I also want to show, okay, we can use it in drop-downs, we can use it in the user interface, but what if we want to have some level of automation? So like say we want to use the ERP data in a flow, okay? We can very easily do that as well. So right now, first we create the model, we use it in a table, we use the table in a record producer. Now, this is a slightly different flow where we want something to happen to get information or to post information within SAP when something happens, right? On a schedule or based on a specific trigger. So let's say our invoice request. So say using that record producer, we have an invoice request that was created. And now we could go and use ERP data from Canvas, right? We have this action. And within this action, we can specify which model we want to do, okay? So I do want to show you something like actually working live. So let's do our invoice model, right? That we just created, literally live. We can do a read, and this is where we specify any kind of filters or mandatory fields. This could just as easily be an update or a create, but we didn't specify those operations. We specify our system. We'll do done.
So just a second, because it is very powerful, and maybe it's worth 1 or 2 words more. Use ERP data. It's a shipped action with the product, and if you explode the form of the configuration, this use a technology which is called dynamic input and dynamic outputs. It means that to understand which field you have to select for model operation or for mandatory or optional fields, it reads the model configuration and gives you the fields inside the action. What it means, you don't need to specify a custom action with defined input and defined output for each entity. Okay, this is super important. You have one single action managed by ServiceNow that can span across the entire ERP data.
Thank you, Eduardo. All right, and so just to show you that, hey, not only can we see it in that list format, let's do just a quick test and run this model or this action, right? And we look at the execution details. We have use ERP data. If we go down here, we have our payload, right? And then we can use this dynamic object, this output, in our flow with no code, right? We could do a for loop to then go through each one of these. Or in the case of an update or a create, we would return whatever response we defined in the model for those outputs, right? So this is really full circle, low code, no code development because it's on the platform and everything's so composable, right? And then the last piece I want to show you is more from a visual analytics standpoint. We can go into a workspace, right? In our workspace, we can see all our different requests, like our invoice discount requests, when they were open, who they were opened by, very configurable. And we have analytics. Like, hey, here's all the invoices that have discounts. What is the average order amount, right? What is the average discount requested? And for a end user, they can make more informed decisions for different requests, or if they wanted to say modify and add a new visualization based on ERP data for their process, we can very easily do that. So I'll add a data source, and here I have another invoice model. This is using the same exact endpoint. Let's do that. And I wanted to do some metrics, or maybe not a single score. Let's do a vertical bar. So we want to group these in some way, right? And now, literally in 2 or 3 clicks, I made a visualization showing all the different invoices that we're pulling from our sandbox system, categorized by country, right? And then we can change how this categorization is by whatever fields that have already been defined in our model and our remote or extraction tables, right? So again, we can change just like customer name, just that easily. All right.
Oh.
So I think that touches all the way from creating a model, using that model in a remote table, or showing how we could use an extraction table, configuring that table, using that table in record producers and in workspace, right? That
Amazing.
simply, and I still think we did that in under half an hour.
No, that's amazing, and I have a couple of questions in mind. One of the questions that usually our customer ask us is, what about performances? Okay, I don't know if you want to show again your screen in ERP Canvas. There is the attachment options for the remote tables, which is very nice and powerful, because if you are, let's say, in a record producer with many choices, you don't want to do like a real-time call each time. So there is like a caching mechanism which you can leverage, or you can use an extraction table. For example, you want to have a choice list of closed orders. It doesn't make any sense to call SAP to take closed orders, for example. Okay.
Yeah, for example, yep. So this is the caching mechanism that we're using for the attachments. Again, we could pull those remote tables live by calling that query or using that model in a flow. But again, just from a developer decision matrix, remote tables are usually pretty performant when it gets to around 1,000 records. Let's say you have 100,000 records for whatever reason, and you want to ETL them or use them. I would recommend either 2 approaches where you use an extraction table, or you would use a model, add the proper filters as inputs, and only pull the information that is relevant to your use case accordingly, right? So that's how you can achieve optimal performance, where, hey, remote tables are going to be for smaller amounts of records. You can also cache a number of those records in an attachment. And then you have extraction tables for those larger number of transactions. We can do delta loads. And then for more real-time information for reads, updates, and creates, you're using those models, which can be called through glide scripts or through Flow Designer, as we saw in the demo just now.
Yeah, amazing. And we have another question from the audience that says, I didn't quite understand one thing. Is the remote table basically a support table that syncs with the original SAP table? And here, are we creating a data entry interface? So this is the first part of the question that we can take. And second part is, and the flow process is necessary to sync from ServiceNow to SAP, right? Do you want to take this question, Artem?
Yeah, so let's start with like one at a time. So the first one, it was, are we synchronizing this with the SAP data?
Yeah,
Right.
the first one.
For extraction tables, we can do that through delta loads and scheduled extractions. For remote tables, that can be scheduled, or you can invoke that remote table through an action as well. So that's how you can have it synchronized. And then if you're using the model, that's always going to be real-time information that there is no synchronization. You're just pulling what SAP is at a specific time whenever it's invoked, right? So hopefully that answers the first question.
Yeah, exactly. The first question was more on the remote table. If it syncs, it depends if the remote table is tied to a table. You read the table, but you, as Artem showed, you can have filters. So maybe it's a subset of data. It's not really a sync. If it is no data, it's whatever is exposed by your data or even the BAPI, okay, the web service from SAP. And the second question was, are we creating a data entry interface? Okay, in this case, no, we are not creating a direct data entry interface, but you need to pass through Flow Designer to do a create. Okay,
Yes.
or even a model. If you have a model with create operation, you have to use the action, pre-built action, use ERP data in order to create and do entry in SAP. And the last one is the flow process is necessary to sync from ServiceNow to SAP. No, you don't need to have a flow designer to do this. It's ERP Canvas that is taking this synchronization mechanism into life. Okay.
Yep.
The flow designer with the use ERP action is only to act on workflows, so business requirements.
Yep.
Not
Yep. And
technical.
if you wanted to have that like on a single screen and single form, even doing traditional ServiceNow development, you can always use those models or use the actions that ERP Canvas has behind the hood using the glide script. You can actually call those actions and those models through script as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's share my screen again. Thank you so much, Artem, for bringing this live and concrete as much as we can, even with a live SAP system on the back, even if it's fake. And let's wrap up a little bit with roadmap and maybe networking for whoever wants to unmute and just have a chat and chill out. So William, do you want just to start a wrap up?
Yes, sure. First of all, I'm quite impressed by what Artem showed us, and I'm fighting now with PowerPoint, so hold on a little bit. So in general, first, thanks to Artem and to Kant for their support. I'm in ServiceNow since many years, and the level of how to say easiness, the fact that it's almost ready to be used, that is so friendly. There is no code. I suppose you can add code somewhere if you want to enhance anything, but the fact that you can basically build an integration with an ERP in a quick way, and you can access basically to all the data of an ERP system in less than 20 minutes, it's quite impressive. I know that there are, in the real life, it's not like this, okay? In the real life, you have to consider, I don't know, testing, security stuff, access to data, performances, and blah, 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 obviously. But imagine how this can be an accelerator. It changes everything. It changes the way you build stuff. And so it means that you have to focus more on the process, more on the experience, and less on the technicality. So it works. You can build stuff on it. So let me take, okay. Because I had some issue with PowerPoint. I used to close, now it's open. But now I don't see Zoom anymore. So let me start in a different way.
If you want, William, I can talk on it.
I have it. Yeah, I have it. I'm just trying to understand how to share the desktop. Here we are. And then how to go full screen. You should be able to see again PowerPoint,
Yeah, we can
right?
see.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we started with this definition, okay? So of workflow data fabric, and now is at the center. So the idea is that, so this is where ServiceNow is going. It's already here. I mean, AI agents is not something that from the future. It is already a feature of the last release of ServiceNow, the Yokohama release. It's something that we introduced recently because Yokohama is from March. But this is the direction. And also, I have to be honest, also looking at what others vendors are publishing, agents seems to be the new era of AI. Okay, we used to have machine learning, traditional, AI, and then we used to have for 1 year, let's say AI, generative AI with ChatGPT, and now we are already at the, AI. We are entering the AI agents era. So this will change the way we work in many different ways, and the fact that you can already build on ServiceNow your own agents. So it means also as a developer, it's a totally different approach. And because when we want to build an agent in ServiceNow, you don't need to develop an agent. You need to give him, give her, give it instructions. Okay. So even as a developer, you need to change the way you work. And without data, agents can't work. It's almost impossible. They are just, I mean, they can work and give you answer or take action just on ServiceNow. But if the process where you want to put agents are leveraging data that are across several systems like ERP, CRM, ServiceNow, and others, then you need some kind of foundation that can collect data from other systems. And this is workflow data fabric. So, and then you have workflows. And maybe you have workflows in ServiceNow that you built in the years. So it means that now you can give these workflows as tools to your agents. So imagine now you can build agents that use the workflows that you built maybe years ago on the ServiceNow platform. This is quite impressive. It's a new paradigm on how to build stuff on ServiceNow. Something about the licensing. I know at the beginning we told you it's not a sales session, okay, but just for you to know how it works. What we show you today is called App Engine for ERP. Okay, if an organization want to use it to integrate ServiceNow with SAP, it requires a licensing, and this is the name of the licensing, App Engine for ERP. It's in the 2 flavors, let's say, based on the kind of features you want. So if the organization, if you already have App Engine in your contract, so you don't need App Engine for ERP, basically. You just need the ERP Customization Mining Starter. This is the name. That includes also the ERP Canvas, so the main features that Artem showed to you. And then if you don't have App Engine, so what does it mean? If you don't have the licensing, App Engine is the product to build let's say, application on ServiceNow to extend the data model to use low code. Then there is an App Engine for ERP that includes both of the features. So all the low code stuff plus all the ERP features that we show you today.
I don't know if Kanto wants to add something, because from here he will take it away.
Yeah, so like Willem was alluding, what we give is whatever you guys need, whatever you need in terms of lowering the barrier of development. That includes App Engine, all the low code, no code toolset of App Engine, ERP Canvas, and ERP Customization Mining. We'll go to the next slide and we'll see quickly the roadmap items. So what we released in the Yokohama release. So this product has been in general availability for some time now. So we have been doing a lot of enhancements. We have been improving the product. We've been adding new functionality to the product. So in terms of adding more telemetry, in terms of adding more monitoring capabilities, in terms of adding more connectivity capabilities, especially around OData and a secure network connection and so on. And we removed the 1,000 row limit in remote tables as well. And in terms for ERP Canvas, we have strengthened the algorithm that scans ERP Customization Mining, we are strengthening the algorithm that scans the SAP code. So that's what we have been investing a lot of our product roadmap on lately. Now, what's going to come next? We'll go to the next slide, please. So what's coming next is, this is like think of it like a thematic roadmap. Yokohama, May release, Zurich, and Australia. So Yokohama, this recent release, as well as March release, as well as May release, we are focusing, ERP Canvas focusing more on the connectivity aspects, as well as we will be releasing in May, we will be releasing what we call as content packs. I'll talk about that in the next slide. But at a high level, we have also launched a guided tour. So what that means is, as soon as you open Canvas, you can go through a guided tour, understand the navigation, understand how Canvas works. There'll be a pop-up that will prompt you to do this, start here, click this, click that, so on. And then we're also adding more support to iDoc and others. And with starting from Zurich, we will have Gen AI for model creation. So the model creation that Artem showcased earlier, you can do that through a prompt. You can say, hey, ERP Canvas, bring me customer master information from SAP married with invoice information. And then it will know which tables to put together, which tables to join together, and then it will build a model.
So it's like now Assist for spoke generation, but with ERP Canvas. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then we'll go to the next slide and we'll talk about the roadmap. And then this is the process extension content pack roadmap. So what content pack means is, think of it like an accelerator solution. Let's say you want to build an MDM solution on top of SAP in ServiceNow using Canvas. Then you need different data models. You need subflows that pull data from SAP and also update back to SAP. So we are building all of that. We are shipping all of that pre-built. So you don't have to worry about, oh, customer master, I have to get data from, Mardi, Mara, whatever tables in SAP. Instead, you will have all of this pre-built. So the way we are approaching this is, on the left side, you will see Yokohama Q2. That's a May release, upcoming May release. On the first bullet point, you'll see model foundation. So that's like the foundation configuration that's needed for ERP. Think of it like reference data. So what Artem was showcasing earlier, he was talking about drop down. Think of not frequently changing items like payment terms, currency code, locations, company codes, purchase organization, sales organization, Incoterms, so on and so forth. These are all foundational configuration items in SAP. And using these pre-built accelerators, you'll be able to get data from SAP from these tables and so on, and also write back. And likewise, we are approaching master data for reading vendor master data, creating, updating material master, reading chart of accounts, reading cost center information, so on. And then for transactional, we're starting with sales orders. That is all the CRUD operations on the sales orders, creating, reading, updating sales orders. And then for process extensions, we are starting with managing delivery blocks, sales order blocks. So you have a sales order, the customer did not pay on time, the sales order went on a block in SAP. Now you want somebody to release that sales order because the customer has paid. Then what you can do is, somebody will request using ServiceNow application or a workflow that this particular sales order can be removed from block, and then it will automatically remove the block in SAP. And likewise, delivery block. For example, the customer has asked you to not deliver the product today. Instead, they want you to deliver day after tomorrow, and you want to build a workflow around it, just in case. So, in SAP, you have to go to ECC or S4HANA. It's like a checkbox. It doesn't have much of a governance. You don't know why somebody unchecked it or put a tick mark there. Why did somebody put it on block, and so on. So you want to build a workflow with governance, approvals, and so on. You can use this process extensions. Likewise, material master, creating, updating, reading material master data. So all of these will be pre-built accelerator solutions available starting May. We'll move to the next slide, please. And in terms of customization mining, more telemetry, The algorithm is much faster. The AI ML machine learning algorithm behind the customization mining product. We are strengthening that. We will have more knowledge graph schemas and better recommendations after scanning SAP ECC or S4HANA. Inventory of customizations mapped against an SAP module. So all of that is more strengthened as part of Yokohama release and will be strengthened as well, May release as well. Now moving further, what's coming in what's coming in the next half of 2025 and 2026 for Canvas, like I mentioned, Gen AI support, ERP agent as a service. We are laying foundation for those ERP agents. So you can use the process extensions I talked about earlier. You can directly use them. You can type a prompt, and then you'll be able to use these process extensions in an Now Assist skill kit, AI, skills. You can pre-build all of them, so on and so forth. That's what we are adding in the next upcoming releases for AI. And next slide, 45, please. So in this slide, we talk about what are the agents that we are targeting. Again, this is all after Zurich. We are targeting a bunch of agents around master data first, like creating and updating all of the master data related, meaning there'll be an AI agent. So somebody can chat with um, SAP through ServiceNow. So I can open up an agent and say, hey, I want a new material to be created. And then the agent will figure out what is my sales organization or what is my organization. And depending on that, which geography I belong to, and depending on that, which template intake form should it use, and then it will prompt me. I can key in information, then it will then route that information to different departments, and the agent will get all the information filled up. If it is frequently used frequently used data, then it will fill up automatically, take you through approval. So all those type of agentic AI workflows is what we are targeting after Zurich. All of that will be possible with Canvas. We'll have process extensions that will feed into this. We can have Now Assist Skill Kit and AI Agent Studio that we released in App Engine recently. So all of that will come together after Zurich timeframe to have these AI agents for ERP. So that's the roadmap. And again, safe harbor applies.
Yeah.
So don't make your decisions based on this roadmap. It's a roadmap. We're targeting to release these in the timelines that I mentioned. But yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. I have a question for you about this. I'm wondering, I mean, it's impressive. The idea that we are going to have out of the box agents on this is mind blowing. And you said you can basically talk with the SAP through ServiceNow. I love it. I'm wondering, who is the main, let's say, user that will interact with SAP? I mean, is it finance people? I mean, is end user is an employee? I mean, because these are interaction with an ERP system. So what would be the
Yeah.
main user of that will interact with these kind of agents?
So it can be any type of a user. I'll give you an example. Recently, one of our customers in Brazil went live, and they had a requirement. That's a pharmaceutical customer. Their sales representatives are always on the move. They have their phones. They don't want to open up SAP, open their laptop or iPad, and then open up SAP to create a purchase requisition. Instead, they want to talk to their SAP system. They want to talk to their system of record. So they wanted a mobile chat, and they're familiar with WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and so on. So they didn't want even a conventional application. They wanted a chatbot. So on Teams, they built an on Teams they built something. So I'm a sales representative and I'm going to my customer. I'm conducting an event and I want some merchandise, let's say pens or coffee mug or something like that. I want to request a purchase requisition. So I can just go to my Teams and chat with SAP. All of that is powered through ServiceNow. So I can
Wow.
say, I want 10 t-shirts, I want 25 mugs, or I want to know what is the status of my customer's shipment, or I want to know what is the status of my material master request. So it can be anything. Anybody can interact. And also, if there are third-party stakeholders, like for example, you have a subcontractor, and your subcontractor, you don't want to expose your SAP access to the subcontractor, and you give only limited access, then you can have that ServiceNow layer. Just expose that layer to the subcontractor. You don't have to give entire SAP access. So they still benefit from the ERP data. And our ServiceNow developers, all the amazing developers that joined this session, they can easily build such applications in no time, like Eduardo showed or Artem showed, and we've been talking about. So that's how all of this plays together.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks also for showing and telling real use cases. We brought a couple of use cases just to give you an idea. For example, Airbus, this is a public story. They are managing a complex logistic shift, multi-site, etc. So they place the workflow. The examples are really important because maybe you have a data, okay, in SAP, maybe you have a screen to consume the data, but maybe, as Kant said, you don't have a process, you don't have a workflow, you don't have guardrails, okay? And this is where you start configuring and customizing the ERP, okay? To add workflows, to add screens, to add the stuff that usually the transactional system doesn't do. Maybe sometimes you don't have even a visibility, okay? You just need reporting on an operational data. So the solution in this case with Airbus, they reduced the transportation request. They implemented in just 3 months. So the time to market is amazing when you're dealing with this kind of processes. Another use case, this is not public, but we wanted to give it to you. I think is the use case that you were mentioning, Kant. So the pharma customer that exposed the SAP data through the chat. It can be Teams, it can be the virtual agent, etc. So I want to understand what is my purchase order status. I want to create a purchase order. I don't want to open up an SAP screen. Maybe I'm an occasional SAP user. Okay, so I don't need training because it's a modern experience, easy to use. You don't need training. Or imagine also maybe you are in a transition from an old SAP to a modern ERP, and you don't want to give so much disruption to the user. Maybe in the transition you have 2 systems. You bring them into a new experience, and behind the scenes ServiceNow orchestrate whatever is running on the old system and whatever was migrated in the new one. Maybe this transition lasts for 2 years. Okay, so you don't need to have this kind of stuff. Another great use case, and then I will fast forward a little bit, just for the sake of time and have a chat. We were able internally in ServiceNow to migrate from the old ECC to the new S/4HANA in just 8 months. And I mean, it's impressive, okay, because we brought all the customization and 75 integration in the ServiceNow platform dealing with our ERPs. So it's an amazing story. We can talk later that. And in ServiceNow, we have a lot of workflows that rely on ERP data. For example, the highlighted one is the master data. Before creating master data, there is a lot of approvals, data enrichment, collaboration between departments, finance data, logistic data, audit data, and so on. So all these activities are done on ServiceNow, and once everything is approved and validated, they are created in the ERP system. This means a lot of reduction in terms of reporting surprises, 90% reduction, lots of code reviews that passed at the first attempt, 90%. So 60,000 hours saved for this process. So amazing story. So just some resources, and then we open up the microphone. There is a very nice course for Appendix 4ERP with lots of information, 5-hour course. So really, if you want to deepen, go on Now Learning, and you have everything there. For our Italian friends, but it's open. There are still some places to come to the AI Summit, the 9th of April. But we have the main event in Knowledge. I hope you will make the chance to go there and register for that. Before we ask you a small gift. I think, William, you updated the QR code, so this is the real survey, right?
Yes, it's a quick survey of few questions. It takes like 30 seconds to be filled.
Okay.
We
If
need
you
that,
want-
especially because it's our first time in English. It's our first time virtual event, so we need to get feedback to improve. Okay.
Yeah. If you have the link of the survey, maybe we can put it in
That's a good point.
in the chat. Maybe someone wants to reply like that. So while you are feeding the survey, let me allow you to talk, everybody, and we open the networking, let's say 10 to 15 minutes, and you can ask any question or you can just give a feedback live. We appreciate it.
Or just even say hello. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, the objective is to build up a community of developers, no matter the company, no matter the role, and so on.
I want to say also a big thank you to Kante, to Artem, because
Yeah,
I mean, 2 hours with us, incredible support. I mean, you're more than welcome when you want to visit Italy, Milan. You have a dinner on us, guys.
absolutely.
Yeah. Looking forward to more such sessions in your region. Very much interested. I'm sure there'll be many more innovative solutions. We want to know what use cases you have. We want to know what problems you're having with your ERP systems and how we can help. So William, Eduardo, you have them, and you can also, William, Eduardo, we are happy to support you anytime during the day here.
And you did it already many times. So I used to bother Can's team, and they always happy to help the customer conversation, which sometimes starts a little bit shy, the customers, because, oh, I'm talking integration ERP. Okay, it's like I don't know how to say in English, vaso di Pandora, no? You don't want to open the
Pandora's
black
box.
box. Okay,
Yeah,
please,
Pandora's
the black
box,
box, black.
Guys, even if for me it's, let's say, a daily topic. I mean, we used to discuss this almost every day with Edo and the customer. I'm still quite impressed by the news we're going to release. This is something that will change the way we interact with ERP. I love the last part, the fact that you can talk with SAP, passing it through ServiceNow. For me, it's like mind-blowing. And I suppose it will help also to impress the customers and to make them change the way they interact with the ERP system. And I'm pretty sure it's something that you cannot do. Probably yes, but not so in this is way. I mean, probably in the future you can do the same stuff also in SAP, but in the end you will remain in SAP. Imagine combining things. So imagine combining data from ERP, data from CRM, data from HCM. I mean, and also now agents orchestrating processes that go through all these platforms. It's really mind blowing, yeah. And all low code or no code. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, if I think how many tickets I managed in the past, just for when I was the head of ERP COE, just to update, I don't know, signature permission or cost centers. Okay, imagine having a fleet of colleagues, AI agent that doesn't have to do it through a ticket, but just through a process that you can monitor. Okay, you don't need to act,
Yeah.
you need to do it. You just need to monitor and maybe improve it. Okay. I think this is the future of work, which is not anymore future, it's the present.
Yeah.
You need to upskill yourself, you need to upskill the customer, because you will shift your workforce from an executor to a, let's say, to an intelligent people. Okay. And this is a shift that we need to support and make it happen.
So if there are no any questions, I suppose we can close. Thank you all. This has been recorded, so will be shared on the Meetups channels and I don't know where other places in the web. So I would invite you to share this with all your colleagues that cannot attend this event. And hope you enjoyed it. I did it. And thank you again, Artem and Kant. Thank you, Edo. And thank you to all the one that participated. Enjoy the rest of the day or the evening for the, let's say, for the one that are on this part of the world, okay? Thank you again.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.